Hello, my name is Glenn Wadsworth. I'm going to present to you about the proposed Science Centre at Medway, project stakeholders and how to communicate with these stakeholders. The Medway Science Centre partnership are a group of parents, teachers, scientists and lecturers from all over Kent and Medway who are passionate about engaging children in science, technology and the environment. The Medway Science Centre partnership is made up of Dr David Stokes, Centre for Environment and Health, Dr Angela Stokes, King's College and Academy, Dr Samantha Aylesbury, Greenwich University, Katie Steele, Sir Joseph Williamson's Maths School, Chris Steele, Kent County Council. The Centre aims to be a resource for science education, vocational guidance and training, providing student experiences both at the centre and in the classroom, teach development programmes and materials and also distance learning opportunities. The Science Centre will bring school curriculum out of the classroom. The Centre would also be a provider of employment opportunities, particularly for students and other young people, including internships, vocational training, job guidance and start-up projects. The Medway Science Centre partnership believes that Pump House number 5 in Chatham would be the ideal location for the Science Centre. The Pump House is located in Chatham Maritime, an established mixed-use community. This area is already home to the Dockside Shopping Centre, 319 berth luxury marina, multiplex Odeon cinema, Dickens World visitor attraction, restaurant, bar facilities, University at Medway campus, plus a new residential community of 1,650 homes. Pump House number 5 is located on the western side of Lavarian Way, approximately 150 metres north of the junction with Dockhead Road and immediately south of the Chatham Maritime Marine Lock. For a project to be successful, it is important that the client is able to manage project stakeholders from inception all the way through to completion. It is important that all project stakeholders are initially identified and addressed. Project stakeholders then need to be prioritised as to who needs what information and also when and how regularly they need that information. It is vitally important that project stakeholders are communicated with throughout the project, particularly at critical project stages. Project stakeholders have information and communication needs. Identifying the needs of the stakeholders and determining a suitable means of meeting these needs are important factors for project success. Effective communication is one of the most important factors contributing to the success of a project. While all projects share the need to communicate project information, the specific information needs and the methods of distribution will widely vary. The Medway Science Centre project will have a different range of stakeholders, and the way in which each stakeholder will also be different not only from each other, but also different from different types of projects. A project stakeholder is someone whose interests may be positively or negatively affected either by the work of the project or the outputs from the project. They will quite often gain a direct loss or benefit as a result of the project. Most project stakeholders are actively involved in the project or exert influence over the project or its deliverables. However, there are stakeholders who have no involvement whatsoever. An example of this would be a local resident who is disturbed by noise and dust during the construction project. Project stakeholders can be usually classified into two categories: internal and external stakeholders. Internal stakeholders are those who are in legal contract with the client, and external stakeholders are those who have a direct interest in the project. Typical examples of internal stakeholders are client, funders, customers, tenants, suppliers, architects, engineers and contractors. Typical examples of external stakeholders are local residents, local landowners, regulatory agencies, local government and national government. It is important to identify key stakeholders as early in the project as possible. The Science Centre at Medway will have its own collection of project stakeholders. These stakeholders will also require different information at different stages of the project. It is important initially to identify all of the project stakeholders and why they might have an interest in the project. Firstly, Medway Council. Medway Council will have different interests in the project. The Science Centre will provide much needed tourism and employment in the area. There are many schools in Medway which would be interested in using the facility. The benefits the Science Centre could bring to the Council could persuade them to provide funding which would increase their interest as a stakeholder. Kent County Council. Kent County Council's interest will be similar to Medway Council. The Science Centre would increase tourism and provide not only jobs in Medway but also in the county. Schools from across Kent will want to come to Medway to visit the centre. Similarly to Medway, Kent County Council may provide funding seeing the benefits that the Science Centre could bring to the county. The University of Greenwich. The university has an employee who is one of the founding members of the Medway Science Centre partnership. The university is also in close proximity to the proposed site and provides science-based courses which could benefit from using the facilities of the proposed project. There are also 3 other universities who use the campus at Medway and have similar interest in the future use of the proposed facilities. Excitec. At the client briefing, Excitec were named as potential funder of the Science Centre. This would of course make them an internal stakeholder with a keen interest as to how their money was being spent. National HE STEM Programme. Similarly to Excitec, the National HE STEM Programme were named as a potential funder for the project. At Bristol. At Bristol is assisting in producing a feasibility study for the Medway Science Centre. At Bristol is also a science centre and will provide valuable information as to what works and how to advertise. They will also have a keen interest being a similar science centre as they can share resources and run events together. Schools. The main target audience for the Science Centre is school children and children of an age from 5 to 18. Schools will use the Science Centre to take the curriculum out of the classroom. Local schools and schools in Kent will use the centre for day trips and school outings. The Science Centre will also provide key information and training for teachers as to how to encourage more children to enjoy science. Preschools. The Science Centre will also aim to target preschools and preschool children, ensuring that children start to enjoy science from an early age. Schools and preschools are both stakeholders as they are the main target audience for the Science Centre. They are a key stakeholder and will need lots of information with regular updates on progress. Local businesses. Local businesses will have an interest in the project, so they may feel that their income and business will be affected by the Science Centre. Tourist attractions may lose business to the Science Centre. However, some businesses may see gains in profit from the additional interest in the area, such as restaurants and bars. Dockside. The pump house, which has been discussed as a potential site for the Science Centre, is located next to the Dockside Outlet Centre. The pump house currently has no parking. It has been assumed they will utilise the free parking at Dockside. This makes them a project stakeholder, and as they are in such close proximity, any construction work is possible to affect Dockside and its customers. Chatham Maritime. Chatham Marina. The marina will be the direct neighbour of the proposed Science Centre. As previously mentioned, the pump house has no parking, and the marina has very limited parking, so the marina would have a keen interest in the proposed layout of the Science Centre. The pump house also sits on the access road to the marina. This road is a single carriageway, and the marina would have objections to any development of the pump house which may affect their access. Due to the location, Chatham Marina is an important stakeholder. Local community and public. Local residents will want to know of any construction work that takes place, as they may be affected by noise or dust. The local community and the public will also be a potential customer. Scientists. For scientists, the proposed centre will be a source of employment, training, and also a venue for future studies. Teachers. Teachers will have an interest in the Science Centre for a couple of reasons. They can take their school children to the Science Centre and also use it as a learning resource. They can also receive training and learning materials in relation to teaching science. Local job centres and employment agencies. Local job centre and employment agencies will have an interest in the Science Centre because it will provide job opportunities to an area that currently has a high percentage of unemployment and is perceived as a relatively deprived area. Highways Agency. Any alterations to the roads or pathways will need to be approved by the Highways Agency. Funders. For the Science Centre, funders will be one of the most important stakeholders in getting the project off the ground. Funders will have an interest in how the money they are providing is being spent and being used. Architects. Architects will be interested in designing the redevelopment of the pump house into the Science Centre. With the Science Centre being one of a kind in this area and the tourist interest and publicity that will be created from it being built, then architects will be very interested in having their name associated with such a project. Contractors. Contractors will be interested in building / fitting out the pump house design of the Science Centre. Due to recession, work has been scarce, and contractors will be interested in winning the tender for such a high profile bid. Similarly to architects, with it being such a one-off project, they'd like to have their name associated with such a project. Engineers. Similarly to architects and contractors, engineers will be interested in being involved in such a high profile project. Each stakeholder has very different information needs, and these needs need to be communicated effectively to each stakeholder to avoid any conflict which could cause further delay to the project. It is important that the project team provide timely and accurate information to all the stakeholders. Members of the project team prepare information in a variety of ways to meet the needs of the stakeholders. Team members will also receive feedback from these stakeholders, therefore effective routes of communication must be established. The project manager must consider who needs what information, when do they need that information, who is going to deliver that information, and how should that information be delivered. Project team members and stakeholders use different communication methods at particular times during the project lifestyle to deliver project information. The methods include meetings, telephone calls, email, voicemail, and websites. However, every project is different, and also every stakeholder is different. Most of the common ways to communicate are audio-visual, podcasts, video conferencing and conference calls, face-to-face through project meetings and briefings, community presentation, question and answer sessions, so town halls, we'll ask a developer or the client to come in, give a discussion on what's being proposed, and then the local community has the opportunity to ask questions, and hopefully their issues and concerns will be eased, and the project can move forward. And also targeted presentations to particular groups. We've been in the 21st century, online is now used heavily, blogs, internet, project websites, emails, forum groups, and the social media, so Twitter, Facebook have kind of excellent ways now. Everyone uses them to publicise and promote a project. Printed material, magazines, newsletters, leaflets, memos and letters, and displays and notice boards. As each project is different and each stakeholder is different, the way in which information is communicated will be different for each stakeholder and also each project. The Science Centre has lots of different stakeholders, as previously discussed, and the timing of when they are communicated with and what information is given will also be different. Here are the ways in which the Medway Science Centre Partnership communicate with its stakeholders. Medway Council and Kent County Council. It would be important to communicate with the council at a very early stage. Face-to-face meetings, presentations, email and telephone dialogue initially will ensure that this important stakeholder receives the information they need. Throughout the project, further meetings and information through newsletters, the internet, project websites will provide information on progress. With the council being having such keen interest and the possibility of some potential funding, then information needs to be regularly kept up to date with this stakeholder, and quite importantly at a very early stage. The University of Greenwich. The University of Greenwich, being a local residence proposed site, will require updates of progress and notifications of any work commencing through letter drops, newsletters and other routes of notification. The university also runs science-based degree courses and will be interested in the possibility of using the proposed facilities. So initial meeting and presentation of the design of facilities proposed will be a good way of increasing interest from the university. Excitec and National HE STEM Programme. Being potential funders, early meetings, presentations and project information such as drawings and outline planning and employers' requirements will provide funders with all the information they need to decide whether to provide any money to the project. Funders will also want constant dialogue in relation to progress through emails and telephone conversations. Newsletters, blogs, social media and a project website will provide additional information to the funders when required. At Bristol will need information regarding the project at the earliest opportunity to conduct their feasibility study. Location, proposed design, target audience, all of them all that information will need to be at the very, very early stage. This would be through presentations and emailing of relevant information. Schools and preschools. To gain interest from all the local schools, presentations to the school children would be a good way of securing excitement and interest in the project. Nowadays, school children love the internet, so online information and social media will increase interest in the project. Updates through newsletters and online blogs will also provide progress information. Newspapers, radio and TV advertising, once open, will then provide information on the Science Centre being open and the facilities that are on offer. Also competitions, so that school children can have the chance to have a product or win a competition, will also increase interest. Local businesses. Notification of works planned and works commencing is all the information that a local business should be provided. Their interest in the project is not as a potential end user, so these notifications are all that are necessary. This can be done through notice boards and letter drops. Dockside and Chatham Marina. Due to the close proximity of the pump house and dockside and the Chatham Marina, early negotiations will take place. The pump house currently has no parking available. Meetings and discussions will be needed at inception to inform the two local residents of plans and anticipated number of visitors. Notifications of work commencing through notice boards and newsletters, as well as progress updates for project website and newsletters, will provide the information from then on. Local community and public. Group meetings, town hall question and answer sessions prior to constructions give the public opportunity and the local community the opportunity to receive all the information regarding the project and then the opportunity to voice any concerns. Notice board, newsletters and project website will then provide the public with information throughout the project. Similarly to the schools, once open, advertising will provide the public with the information needed regarding the finished science centre. Scientists and teachers. These stakeholders have an interest in the project for a training and resource perspective. Information can be provided to these stakeholders through online methods such as project websites or blogs, or through newsletters and group presentations highlighting proposed facilities. Local job centre and employment agencies. The only information that the local job centres and employment agencies will need is what jobs are being created and what experience and qualifications are needed to fill these positions. This information can be either emailed or sent through the post towards the later stages of the project. Highways Agency. Notification of any planned works to the road or pathway is all that is needed. Emailing and hard copies of drawings and specifications sent through the post or online is the way to communicate with this stakeholder. Architects, contractors and engineers. Early meetings will be needed with all the design team to ensure that the employer's requirements are fully incorporated into the design and the build. Regular design team meetings and constant email and telephone dialogue will ensure this will happen. Quite often with such a high profile build and the interest that will be in it, competitions for architects to submit a bid and win the design, and then obviously contractors will be notified for a tender period and throughout the project through project team meetings and briefings. A good communication plan should always consider conflict management, which is designed to make issues between stakeholders more manageable. Project managers must minimise conflict through constant communication with the project team and project stakeholders. The more information project stakeholders have regarding the project or deliverable, the less likely last-minute conflicts, changes, complaints will cause any delay to the project. To conclude, for a project to be successful, it's important the client is able to manage stakeholders from inception all the way through to completion, and also the initial stages of it being open to advertise and promote the business. The key to successful community involvement is communicating with external project stakeholders early and often. Each stakeholder is different and no project is the same, so it's important to remember that each stakeholder will need to have project information delivered to them in the most appropriate way. It's important to prioritise stakeholders, as some stakeholders need more information at an earlier stage than others. Funders, for example, need a lot more information at an earlier stage to a local coffee shop which is to be in close proximity to the site. There are many different ways to communicate with stakeholders, from audio-visual, telephone and video calls, face-to-face, meetings and presentations, online, project websites and social media, and printed materials such as newsletters, leaflets and notice boards. Identifying the needs of each stakeholder will then make it easier to determine the way in which information needs to be communicated. Just an example, if a client doesn't have the internet, then all of the information will need to be sent by post and from face-to-face meetings, telephone calls, rather than through email and through a project website. Project managers should ensure that communication is shared in a timely manner, advocate honest, face-to-face, two-way communication, that communication is two-way, listen as well as deliver the message, involve senior management when appropriate, and most importantly, communication must focus on the stakeholder and their individual needs. Again, the more information project stakeholders have regarding a project or a deliverable, the less likely last-minute conflicts, changes or complaints will affect the programme of the project. The Medway Science Centre Partnership must engage stakeholders such as fundraisers, the local councils and the schools at the earliest possible opportunity. It is these stakeholders will that will get the project off the ground, up and running, and also keep the project going and making money and be successful. This can be done through project meetings, presentations and information portfolios such as design specification and a project website. Regular progress updates to other stakeholders through the project website, newsletters and letter drops will provide the relevant information to the other stakeholders who need it.